Radha means cosmic love. Be a spiritual mother to all, her guru, Swami Sivananda, said to her at the time of her initiation. And remember, the mother has all that the baby will need before the baby is born. She had been like a breath of fresh air for him, eager to know, willing to learn. She is a ball of fire, Sivananda said. She wants to know. Indeed, if fire is passion, his description fit perfectly. Swami Radha was the first Western woman to be initiated into sannyas. Although she was trained in Eastern yoga and philosophy, she never lost sight of the fact that she was a Westerner first, and that her task, as Gurudev Sivananda had presented it to her, was to update the ancient Eastern teachings of yoga for the Western mind. This she has done. Her ashram on the shores of Kootenay Lake, British Columbia, is one of the most enduring spiritual centers in North America. Her teachings are both sophisticated and practical.
And remember that you must all images keep in the light, that you go beyond image into the light. Never, never forget that. Oh no.
Swami Radha worked unceasingly to fulfill the promise she made to her guru. She has deeply influenced the lives of many people. Swami Radhananda, the president of Yasodhara Ashram, is one of those people. She was appointed to the position by Swami Radha personally.
And you can see the extraordinary event that it is when a person like Swami Radha gives back what she experienced and knew. Like it resonates in all of us. It makes sense. It makes your life worth living because somehow she's been able to set that example and place the teachings out in a way that we can understand them and live them.
Ashram means spiritual home. Swami Sivananda had written to her, "Come home, I will teach you everything I know." His ashram in Rishikesh, India, was a long way, one could even say many lifetimes away, from her childhood home in Berlin. She was born in 1911, the only child of a well-educated, upper-class Berlin family. She was naturally curious and wanted to know about everything. At the age of 2, she removed the head from a Christmas stall just to find out how the eyes worked. By all appearances, she ought to have lived a privileged childhood. In fact, it was far from it. Her mother had not wanted a child, had even tried to abort her. Her father adored her, but he was away from home too much to be a strong, balancing influence. Her parents' turbulent marriage finally ended in divorce when she was 11 years old.
So my mother basically had not wanted children. And so I was put very quickly after the divorce in a boarding school, and that somehow saved my sanity. I was an only girl in a boys' boarding school, funnily enough. And so I think I had not the same illusions that many women have about men, because I saw how the boys grew up, how they talked about girls and what they said and all this sort of thing.
Within a year of graduation, she was training as a concert dancer, and by the age of 19, she was publishing her short stories in a Berlin newspaper under the pen name Lorenz. She would need a strong foundation to withstand the trials that lay ahead. On her 40th birthday, Sylvia looked back over a life that had seen 2 world wars, a civil revolution, the loss of her home and most of her possessions, and sadly, the deaths of 2 husbands. The first, Wolfgang, was executed by the Gestapo for helping people to escape Hitler. Her second husband, Albert Hellman, a very sensitive musician who had composed beautiful music for her dances, suffered a stroke and died at home just 18 months after they were married. It was almost more than she could bear. As she held him in her arms, her eyes went to a painting of the Holy Family hanging over the bed.
I looked up to this and I said, "What is my sin? Please let me know," as if the picture was alive. But yet there came a gentle voice and said, "It's not your sin. You fulfill his greatest wish. If he had to die, he wanted to die in your arms."
A year after her husband's death, Sylvia Hellman left Germany for England to take up employment as a domestic, the only work available to foreign women. It was the first step toward rebuilding her life, a beginning. But it didn't stop there.
Department of Immigration, Government House, Ottawa, Canada. Dear Sir, Mrs. Hellman has been helping with the work of our home since the beginning of May. I can truly say that I have never had a more satisfactory and charming helper. It has been a pleasure to have someone with the intelligence, artistic gifts, and good taste.
Dear Sir, I would like to recommend Mrs. Sylvia Hellman as being of exceptional fine character. She would be a real asset to Canada as a citizen.
Canadian immigration agreed. Just before Christmas 1951, she landed in Montreal, ready to begin again. She brought everything to the task of building a new life for herself: her talent, her artistic ability, her sincerity, and hard work. She even found a place for her former career as a dancer.
So when I came to Canada, I was very happy. I liked the country. I was deeply impressed with people of their nature of charité. I went to one place and I said, "I'm an immigrant, I don't have any money, but I can give you my talent." So I showed them some newspaper clippings and all this. So they passed it on to other people. So I gave many, many charity performances. Once again,
It was in the midst of all this activity that it happened, the vision experience that dramatically altered the course of her life. She had never seen Swami Sivananda before, did not know who he was, and when he spoke to her in the vision, she could not understand a word he was saying. What intrigued her even more was the fact that she had the experience during a meditation meeting that she had not even wanted to attend.
So I come once, and there is this picture of this yogi with these piercing eyes, wavy hair, and the leader said, "Well, you look at this and you think he's a very holy man, and then see what happened." Little did I know how deep my desire for the church had already gone by that time. And it was just like the picture blurred, and 2 hands were throwing off a wick, and there was a man bowed, smiling, laughing, talking. What is this?
Finally, she was at a place where she had left everything behind, and here was the opportunity to begin. And so that opportunity was used. And all of us have those times when something is just drawn back for a moment, and you see something that you haven't seen before, although it's been there all the time. And I think that's what Sivananda was saying to her. He'd been there all the time. They'd worked together before. And now this was the opportunity.
The first letter that I got from Swami Sivananda was, "Come home, and I will teach you." And then I went to India, and really Swamiji kept his promise. "I teach you everything I know."
These qualities in a man, when he says, "I am a Jivanmukta, I am a Grotya," reject him like a straw. These are the two fundamental, foundational virtues of a sage, of a yogi, of a karma yogi.
This is a magical time, very short, intensely sweet, when they come together. She sings of it forever after. It is her time of turning into Radha, her time with her guru in India. At their first meeting, she gave him the gift of the black onyx cross. "Now I am one with Canada and America," he said happily, as he held the cross in his hand. To her, it felt as if they were simply taking up from where they had left off before. "Come close," he said to her. "We have lived and worked together in previous births." Swami Sivananda returned to this theme many times over the next 6 months. He took every opportunity to stir her memory, to recall beyond the limits of this lifetime. India. It sounds and looks romantic and mysterious, but it was hard work for her human self, Sylvia. Challenging. India. Rats, snakes, tigers, scorpions. No bathrooms, Western critics, food she couldn't eat, a board for a bed, and a schedule almost impossible to keep. In spite of all this, she did not let her doubts and criticism, or her pride, undermine her resolve to learn all she could from Swami Sivananda.
But I think I challenged him later. I met him, and I said, "No, I don't believe this. You're just making statements. I want proof of that." And then Swamis would come and say, no, that's not the way to talk to the master. And he said, "Leave her. She's a ball of fire. She wants to know. It's okay." Yeah.
Swami Sivananda shared his spiritual wealth with her in a number of ways, but he didn't just tell her. He showed her through the language of symbol and metaphor how the teachings, the Kundalini system, for example, could be seen in everything around her once she had trained her mind to perceive symbolically. "What happens," he asked her one day, referring to the headstand, "when your life is turned completely upside down?" His question encouraged her to look deeper into the mystical meaning of the asana. It was the beginning of what she would later introduce into the West as hidden language Hatha Yoga. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. One difficulty remained, however. She could not understand why there were so many different images for a divine power that she had always thought to be beyond name and form. When she took the problem to Swami Sivananda, he responded, but not in the way she expected. He arranged for her to take Indian dance lessons in Dehradun, an idea that was not very well received.
I did not come to India to learn dances. I gave up a secure job, and I don't know what's going to happen to me later, not to learn Indian dances or any kind of dances.
Gurudev looked up, nodded, and said, "The bus for Dehradun leaves in 15 minutes. She was on it. It was an extraordinary experience. 6 intricate Indian dances in 5 weeks. Her dance teacher, Mr. Devasacham, had said it couldn't be done, not even by a trained Indian dancer. And then he marveled as he watched her do it. As Gurudev had expected, the dances became her bridge to the divine, in the form of Krishna, Shiva, Divine Mother, as if the pressure of time and the challenge itself conspired to bring the old memories to the surface once again. It's all in the consciousness of the cells, he said. She remembers. She had 6 months with her guru, time to see her past in a new light, time to see her purpose, and time to receive the whispered message. It was the time of awakening, a time of fullness, and a time of immersion, but it was not meant to last. Go back, Swami Sivananda said to her one day. You can do some work for me in America. Give teaching in yoga, travel, start an ashram. A band of fine young men will help you. Tomorrow I shall give you mantra initiation for yourself and so that you may give to others. Hearing his words, she felt elated and anxious at the same time. She had grown to love the ashram, and the thought of leaving it saddened her. On the other hand, the promise of a mantra initiation filled her with great joy and anticipation. The next day, October 24th, 1955, she was initiated into the mantra, thus completing the most sacred of all rites in the guru-disciple relationship. On February 2nd, 1956, less than 6 months after her arrival in India, Swami Sivananda initiated her into the sacred order of Sannyas and gave her back her old name, Radha. And with the initiation, she embarked on an entirely new life and purpose. The next morning, she went to the ruins of a nearby temple to meditate on the meaning of the initiation, and it was there that she was given the spiritual experience that would become one of the pillars of her teachings back in the West, the Divine Light Invocation.
I was looking for my old place in India, and all I found was the tower of a temple that had probably long time ago deteriorated. So, and I was sheltering myself in there. And there came a yogi asking me questions that I also do not remember. And he stood next to me, and suddenly he pointed into the distance and said, "Tiger!" And I just froze. And then he said, "It's okay, just watch yourself. What have you been doing?" I tensed my muscles, and I was fearful, and what else have you been doing? I couldn't figure out what else. And then he said, "You held your breath. You have, in this way, you attain maximum concentration. I will show you how you can have that without being threatened into it." And then he said to link the tension of the body with the breath, and then to think that basically I'm not the body and I'm not the mind. I'm created by divine light, and it is that same divine light that sustains me. So here came the whole mantra of the light invocation, what I call later on the light invocation mantra.
Raising the arms, affirming, I am created by divine light. I am sustained by divine light. I am protected by divine light. I am surrounded by divine light. I am ever growing into divine light.
Her experience in India had taken her to another dimension, where she discovered her soul's purpose once again. Now she was heading into a complete unknown, to a place and time where even the word yoga would draw blank stares. As Flight 296 began its long descent into Montreal, her mind filled with doubt and fear. Then, as if he was speaking from the seat beside her, Gurudev's words came back to her. I promise I will be ever with you. If you turn to your right, I will be on your right side. If you turn to your left, I will be on your left. But go ahead, because I will be right in front of you. We have lived and worked together in previous births. Never forget that.
In Montreal.
Hello. Do you know the meaning of yoga? For tonight, I have a guest with me who is a yogi. I would like you to meet her. Swami Radha, could you tell me the meaning of the word yoga?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yoga is Eastern philosophy and includes...
I ask Swami Sivananda Radha to speak to you on meditation on the Master.
She left her ashram some 6 weeks ago. Friends, will you help me to welcome Swami Sivananda Radha?
Travel, give lectures, teach the people there. She constantly thought about what he had asked her to do. How could she know if she was doing the right thing? Do not worry, he had said to her in India. Let the Lord take care of everything. She did her part, looking after the spiritual children who came to her. A small group of devotees helped her move into an old house in Burnaby, a suburb of Vancouver. 2 young men in the group stayed to do some renovations, and before long the 2 grew into 7, Gurudev's band of fine young men. The house, along with a small metaphysical bookstore downtown, became the first ashram in Canada. It was a good beginning, but there were limitations.
I realized that I couldn't take people out of their line of thinking. In other words, they were thinking of their children and school and shopping and phoning and controlling and all this stuff. So Angoda had said that I should travel and then settle in the country, water in the front, mountains around, and lots of big trees. I said, it's the whole of BC. Where would I find the place? You see?
Where indeed? She would need help to find the ashram, and there was only one place she could turn to for that help. She made a pact with the divine. The first customer to enter the bookshop the next morning would tell her where to begin her search for the ashram.
So I be in the bookshop, and here is a very nice lady in her probably late 70s, stretching out both her hands, looking at me with very great warmth and love, and she said, Swami Radha, I always wanted to meet you. Why don't you come to Banff? Oh, Banff! Well, suddenly it dawned on me. She was the first customer.
It was like a treasure hunt, joining pieces of the map together as they were revealed to her along the way. A tiny classified ad in a Banff newspaper led her to Kootenay Bay, and her first sight of the land that was to become Yasodhara Ashram.
So I look at the land, and that was quite an experience. You know, the little jetty there, almost on the border of next property, was still there. So, and I stood there and looked at the pepper beach here, and it was just as if there weren't any pebbles. It was just a heap of diamonds and sapphires and emeralds and rubies and what have you. And so then the man said, we'll show you the other end. The grass was this high on the road, on the dirt road. The men went before. They talked to each other. They ignored me entirely. And so I walked behind, and I had a feeling I wasn't touching the ground. there was something very strange happen. There was suddenly an establishing and knowing. I had come back to my old hunting grounds.
She calls it her time of living on faith, the years of building the new ashram and putting her teachings on the map. Sometimes faith was all she had to go on. It was a demanding time, and there were many challenges, but she prevailed, and in the end, the obstacles served only to strengthen her resolve.
The ashram has given me very little opportunity to meditate and for certain practice. I was extremely busy. My days were often 12 hours and sometimes even 14 hours. The only thing that I could do was, whatever my activity was, to dedicate it to the Most High. And that is something that is open for you too. You can too dedicate anything you do to the Most High and bring the greatest quality possible into your life. Don't think, oh, it doesn't matter. Everything matters. The smallest thing matters.
It seemed that her work was completed. She had done everything that Swami Sivananda had asked of her. But then, in November 1994, she had a dream of Gurudev in which he gave her quite a different message.
And then Sivananda had occasionally a way of being very warm and sweet. So here in my dream experience, he said, well, Radhaji, it's still a while to go. But if you get too tired, just call me. I carry you. So I couldn't quite make out. A while to go, that means something has to be done. What? The ashram is debt-free, has good teachers, has good people. The temple is built. Now we have even the mandala house. The ashram has good reputation, has made its mark on the map. What is there to go? What have I to go for a while?
The answer came 6 months later with the gift of a pearl ring. When she put the ring and the dream together, almost at once Gurudev's words came back to her. Be a spiritual mother to all. And the image of a mantra pronouncement she had seen in his ashram many years ago arose in her mind. September 8th, 1955, Rishikesh, India. Over 2,000 people had gathered in the ashram to celebrate Swami Sivananda's birthday and to receive his mantra pronouncement. She watched closely as Swami Sivananda climbed to a rooftop and projected the sacred syllable across a sea of faces. Although it was an impressive moment and a very moving experience, she still wondered how effective it was as a form of initiation. At her first opportunity, she asked Swami Sivananda.
I said, Gurudev, what does that mean? It can't have any effect. And he said to me very simply, well, he said, you can initiate 100 people, singly, give all the time, all the attention, all the help, and a week later they have forgotten, or a year later. But in all the crowd, it's like a seed, some take, some don't. The one who was sincere and really wanted, they will take the mantra to the heart.
September 8, 1995, Swami Radha repeated the sacred ritual that she had first seen at her guru's ashram in India 40 years earlier. By giving a mantra pronouncement to a large group of people, Swami Radha completed the final request of her guru, be a spiritual mother to all. It was evident from the precedence of the occasion that her life was drawing to an end, that her work was done. In her commitment to the path of higher consciousness and in her loyalty and devotion to her guru and the teachings, Swami Radha has given us a precious gift, the way in to an ancient yogic path of liberation. By keeping her promise, she has shown us the way to the light. We are blessed to have had her in our midst once again.
Krishna says, at the end of the service of the true devotee, I will come in my chariot and take you home to me. And so wherever you turn, you have eventually to sit down, reflect, think, find out what all these things mean to you. It's your life, it's your course of evolution, it's your destiny, and it is the purpose of your life. You ought to know the evolution of consciousness. Nothing else matters. Come on.